As requested, here is the tutorial for assembling your scrub cap. So after cutting the pieces out according to the pattern, this is what they should look like. The larger piece should have been cut along the fold, so it looks like this when it's expanded. And the circle piece, which is the top piece, should have one flat end and one rounded end. So the first thing you're going to want to do is hem these edges. So you're going to do the short part of the curve and the top of each of these, which will be the tie and the side. So you really don't have to hem it that far, just about maybe a quarter of an inch. Just use your best judgment. Don't make it so short that you can't stitch it afterwards. So as you're pinning the hem around the curve, it's going to be a little hard to fold it over, so you're just going to take your scissors and do a teeny little notch, and it'll help pin those sides down without it wrinkling and puckering. So once the top is all done, you're going to move on to hemming the ends. So these things on the ends are going to be the ties that tie behind the head, and we want to make sure that there are no raw edges on there. So you're going to fold in the end, not too far, just enough so that the raw edges are hidden. And then the next thing you're going to do is fold up the bottom. So you're actually going to fold it twice, just so that the raw edges are hidden there once again. So you fold it up once and then you fold it up twice to meet with the edge of the seam for the top part. And so that'll make one complete tie at the end, and it'll make it look all neat. And when you reach the end there where the tie is, just replace the needles from the top part, and once you fold up the bottom, remove the needle and just put the needle back in all together so you don't have double the needles in there. And you should have one tie with no raw edges exposed, and the hem at the bottom should be folded up twice, and the sides should look the same. So after sewing that, this is what it should look like. And before assembling the top section to the side sections, there's one more hem that you have to do. You're going to fold up the end, the flat end of the circled top part twice. And that is to, again, make sure there's no raw edges in there, just so nothing unravels if it's going through the wash. And so just sew those in. This is what it should look like. You should have the flat end hemmed and the round edge should just be raw. So the next step is going to be assembling these two parts together. So fold the round part and find exactly where the center is and mark it. And then you're going to fold the bigger part in half, do the same thing, find the middle. And now you're going to line them up. Right sides together, line up your two notches. And then you're going to start pinning together. So the first pin right at the top, and then you're going to go from that center pin out. Line up the outside edge of the bigger piece and the outside edge of the circle piece. and that's where you're going to pin them together. So start pinning all the way around, and then go back and do the other side. And once you hit that flat end where you added the seam, don't pin that to the larger piece. So once it's all pinned, this is what it should look like. And then just go ahead and sew right along that line, being careful not to let the extra fabric bunch up underneath. This is what it should look like once it's been sewn, and just to make it less bulky when it's on the head, you can trim that seam you have, but be careful not to cut the original seam you made on the short end of the curve, because you don't want that to unravel. And now just turn it inside out and you're all set with your scrub cap.